Ah, so you think discard is your ally? You merely adopted the discard. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't make a decent purple deck until New Hero was released, and then I was already a set behind. Hello, Tamers! What's going on, guys? It's East here, and I'm back with the deck profile. This one's going to be for Cherubimon. So I've been playing BT8 quite a bit, and the only color that I really didn't vibe with is purple. I haven't really had much fun playing the Malai deck that got released for BT8 and New Hero. I'm not really that interested in Beelzebubmon. I think my buddy Obama's going to make him, so I'm going to let him deal with that deck, and I'll learn through that. So I thought to myself, well, is there any purple deck that I can make that I think would be fun to play? And I said, well, I never really gave Cherubimon a try from BT7. So, you know what, let me go back and see if I can soup up that deck a little bit and see if it can work in this meta. And luckily, I have a deck for you. It's actually a ton of fun. It's performing way better than I thought it did. I spent a couple of days really just trying to tweak the deck here and there to make sure that everything was okay, and I think I finally found a really good build. The cool thing about this deck video is that you're going to be able to use it for BT7 and BT8. So I've got some cards here that are included from BT8, but I'll talk about the BT7 variants that you could use to swap out until BT8 arrives. So this is kind of neat. It's the first deck profile that can span through two expansions or two sets. So yeah, whether you're playing BT7 or BT8, check this one out. Alright, so let's get into it. We're going to keep this one super concise. First up, the eggs. We're going to have 4 copies of BT4 Shadowverse. You're going to be doing a lot of trashing in this deck, so the 10 cards in the trash to get retaliation effect is actually really easy to get to, and it's also just useful for taking out large targets later on from your level 3s Digivolved over it. Alright, let's look at our level 3s. In BT7, Bokomon is all the rage with all the hybrid support. This guy is great. He's good for searching out your hybrids and your tamers, top 5 cards out of the deck whenever you play him. Additionally, he gives you 2 memory whenever you Digivolve over a tamer, so that's really nice. It basically makes all the hybrid Digivolves free once per turn. Next up, I got 4 copies of BT4 Labramon. This guy is useful because he's just draw 1, drop 1, and it's just good for cycle. Introduced in BT7, we also have 4 copies of Lopmon. His inheritance gives you +1 memory whenever you play a tamer. It's good whenever you can reduce the cost of the tamers you're going to be playing, because you're going to be playing a lot of them in this deck. And if you can get up 2, it's a very powerful effect, because some of your tamers become completely free. And rounding out to level 3s, I've got 2 copies of Psychemon. This guy was actually introduced in BT8, so if this is the BT8 build you're looking for, this is the guy you're going to be using. He's useful because he completely stops Mother D Reaper in her tracks. They do a lot of reducing their play costs for their cards, and he just completely stops that, so this is very useful for the meta right now. If you're in BT7 though, it's useful to have 2 copies of Gajimon. Gajimon's good because he denies other Pokemon effects, and as well as the memory boost, so this guy's great to have to just disrupt your opponent's game plan. Okay, climbing up the ladder to our level 4s, I've got 4 copies of Loemon, Rebemon in Japanese. He's great because he Digivolves over your tamers. He's a hybrid Digimon for purple, and he's going to be very useful in ending the game. So 4 copies of this guy. Luckily, he's common. So next up, I've got 3 copies of Eismon Scatter Mode. This card has an amazing cycle ability. It's pretty cheap. Draw 3, drop 2. If you're playing the EN format, then Eismon isn't limited yet, so feel free to run 4 copies of this card so you can enable your Eismon at maximum potential, and then you can cut some of the Labramon for the level 3s if you need to make room. Rounding out the Eismon team, I've got 1 copy of Eismon himself. Whenever he's trashed, if Scatter Mode's already in there, you can just play him for free, and then you get plus 2,000 for every Eismon in the trash. In the JP version right now, he is limited to 1 copy, so I've got just 1 copy of him in the deck. If you're playing in the EN format where this guy is not yet limited, feel free to run 4 copies of him. You can cut the rest of the Labramon from level 3s and just run this guy instead. That way you can maximize the potential for getting these out whenever your Eismon or Scatter Mode are in the trash. Rounding out the level 4s, I've got 4 copies of the starter deck, purple starter deck, Devimon. Purple usually needs a little bit of setup time, so having a blocker is kind of nice. And you should aim for Xiaomon, Lopmon, and Devimon as a stack. That way you can provide a blocker on the field with retaliation if your opponent attacks and you want to take it out. And while it lives, the Lopmon's inheritance effects give all your tamers on play a cheaper cost. So that's the stack you want to go for with this card here. Okay, so we're moving on to level 5s. This deck doesn't actually run a ton of level 5s, so we only have 4 copies of the hybrid Raihimon, or I think it's Rihimon in English. I'm not really sure of the naming. He's a 1-cost level 5 if you Digivolve from a tamer in your stack, and then on delete you play a purple tamer from your trash if this card died with a hybrid in its sources. But typically you're not going to be using this delete on deletion effect. You typically want to build this guy up into your Cherubimon. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Alright, so let's talk about the star of the deck, and that is the 4 copies of the Cherubimon or Cherubimon, whichever you want to call it. You can run probably 3 copies, but I like 4 just for the consistency. This guy, again, is the star of the deck. Whenever you Digivolve into him, you grab a purple tamer from the trash, play it on the board for free. And then, for every tamer that you have, you blow up one of your opponent's level 4 Digimon. Additionally, and this is the effect that you really want, whenever he is deleted, you play a level 3 Digimon from your trash for each tamer that you have. Not just purple tamers, but all tamers. So white tamers and purple tamers combined for this deck. That's going to be important for your pop-off turn. Alright, let's have a quick look at the options. The first one is going to be 2 copies of Calling from the Darkness. You use this to blow up your Cherubimon and pull back Eismon or your hybrids from the trash. And this really just enables your Cherubimon in case your opponent doesn't want to attack into it. So, you have a way to take it out and get its effect and get your pop-off turn and typically win the game. And then rounding out the options, I've got 4 copies of Schwarz Lasat. This card is insane for removal. 6 cost option is purple. For every hybrid or tamer that you have, you can destroy one of your opponent's Digimon who's level 5 or lower on the field. That's a great value for removal, especially because this deck runs a lot of tamers and hybrids. So then you can use this to just take out your opponent's board and keep things nice and tidy while you build up to your Cherubimon. Okay, let's talk about the engine of the deck, and that is going to be the tamers. The first one is going to be 4 copies of Analog Youth. He's really good cycle. When you're level 5 or higher destroyed, you can rest him and you can gain a memory and then hatch a Digimon in the breeding area if you can do that. But this card really enables your power play turn. Having 4 copies of these, 2 copies of these, 3 copies of these is great. And then the cycle whenever you play them of, you know, discarding 2 Digimon, grabbing 1 from the top of the deck is really useful. Side note, if you're looking for a budget option for the Analog Youth here, I know this guy can be quite expensive. You can slot in the BT3 Mimi. Same cost, which is really important here. She doesn't get the cycle effect, unfortunately, but I think with the Eismon scatter mode, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. And again, it's something that your hybrids can Digivolve over into for pretty cheap. And if you have 2 Lopmon on the field, then she becomes free. Not bad. So, pulling from BT7, we've got 3 copies of the Koichi Kimura Tamer. Like Labramon, he's just good cycle. Draw 1, drop 1 on play. And in Inheritance, whenever he's deleted, you can gain 1 memory. If you have to play Calling from the Darkness on your Cherubimon from this guy, then the Calling of the Darkness is offset by this card's effect right here. Calling of the Darkness is 1 cost, this guy recovers 1, and so the cost is offset. Also useful for your hybrids whenever you want to Digivolve over something. And wrapping up the Tamers, I've got 3 copies of BT2 Madashida. He's just good for fishing out options or Digimon from your trash whenever you play him, and he's also a minimum 3 memory tamer. It's always good to have minimum 3 memory to work with every single turn, so he's included in the deck as well. Some other options to mill around with if you want to look at some other options or other cards as options for this deck, and you want to go a more controlling route, then you can opt to go for your standard BT5 Takumi Aiba being able to stop level 3 Digimon from attacking. This way, you can slow the game down a bit more, wait to get to your Cherubimon, have a bit more time to do that, and then drop out your level 3s, get their effects, and then use your hybrids to win the game. If you want to go for a more offensive build for the deck, what you can opt to do is run 4 copies of Bushi Agumon. It becomes a little bit difficult messing with the ratio, so test it out. I had some trouble getting these guys in and fitting in all the engine for the deck, and so I opted to cut these guys, but I think there is something to be explored here, so please give them a try if you can. If you do find a good lineup for the Bushi Agumon to fit into the deck, and let me know what you cut, and yeah, we can talk about it in the comments below. Side note, if you're running the Bushi Agumon, do not run the Takumi Aiba for obvious reasons. This will poop on your own level 3, so just be careful. So the game plan of the deck is actually quite simple. You get down your Tamers as quickly as possible. 4 is kind of the optimum number here. Then you build up your Cherubimon from one of your Tamers for very cheap, as well as your Devimon from your Xiaomon and Lopmon. Lopmon is going to allow you to play your Tamers for a little bit cheaper as well to enable the game plan. Then you can use your Cherubimon to attack. If he's destroyed by security effects or by your opponent's effects, then he blows up and you get level 3s. If they don't do that, then what you can do is you can just play Calling from the Darkness, blow him up yourself. He gets deleted. The memory is offset by Koichi. You can rest both of the Tamers here. You get memory back from both of these guys. You grab the hybrid from up under Cherubimon and whatever else you want from the trash is another Digimon. And then you play out all your level 3s. Your level 3 targets are going to be your Bokomons. You're going to grab 4 Pokemon because you have 4 Tamers out. Your Pokemon allow you to Digivolve over your Tamers here for free. You can Digivolve the hybrids, get either a bunch of memory at once or use each effect 1 by 1 on each Tamer, and then you can swing for game. That's the basic idea of the deck. And so yeah, that's going to be the deck. Again, I built this in the BT8 meta, but you could definitely build it in the BT7 meta. I think it's even more powerful out there, considering some wild things are running around like Jogger's Digivolution, as well as Imperial Dramon or the armors. But yeah, let me know if you actually have a chance to build it up and then test it out. Let me know what your results are. Again, if you find a way to slot in the Bushiagumons, I think that's probably a more aggressive version of the deck, so let me know what you cut, what your build looks like, and we can talk about that in the comments below. Anyway, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Before you get out of here, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one. You guys be good. Ah, so you think Discord is your ally? Did I just say Discord? Man, I'm stupid.